Okay, and welcome back to the channel. Well, if it's your first time here, my name's Andrew, and thanks for joining me. If it's not your first time here, as I say in all my other videos, my name's still Andrew. That hasn't changed. So before I start, I'm not sponsored, so if you could do the like, subscribe, and the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. It does help the channel out no end. So in the video today, I'm going to be comparing the DJI Action 6 with the DJI Nano. And although on the face of it, they do appear to be totally different cameras, there are a lot of similarities between the two, and you'd be surprised by exactly how much both cameras have in common. So really, if you are deciding on which camera to get, this video could save you a bit of money because it's going to outline exactly what the capabilities of each camera are and the similarities between them both as well. So I intend to cover all aspects of both cameras, from the video and resolution, the slow motion, hyperlapses, time lapses, the photography aspect of it, battery life, sensor size, as well as things like field of view, color profiles, everything that's to do with both of these cameras, so you can decide exactly which one it's going to be right for you and maybe save yourself a bit of money in the long run. Okay, so let's crack on. Now, when it comes to battery life, both these cameras are designed for very different types of shots. The Action 6 packs a 1950 milliamp hour battery that DJI rates up to around about 4 hours for continuous recording in ideal conditions at 1080p. But that's on the basic settings with RockSteady on. But in real life, if you're using the higher frame rates, for example 4K, I tend to find that a battery will last me around about 2 hours. And then by contrast, you got the Nano battery. Now the Nano battery is only going to be rated at 530 milliamp hours, and on its own it'll last around about 90 minutes of 1080p video. However, if you use the multifunctional Vision dock system, which includes its own larger battery, the runtime can be extended to around about 200 minutes. So the Action 6 is going to give you significantly longer extended battery life when it's used by itself, and that's going to be better suited to extended shooting on the go. While the Nano is going to give you a decent battery life for short bursts, and it's going to benefit for longer sessions when it's actually on the dock. Now, when it comes to the storage on both cameras, on the Action 6 you've got a built-in storage capacity of 50 gig. Whereas on the Nano, you've got two different modes of being 64 gig or 128 gig. But the way that the storage works on both cameras is slightly different. So on the Action 6, you can put in an SD card and then you can record directly onto that SD card up to 1 terabyte. So if you are doing a long bit of footage, you're not going to have any issues with running out of space, but you still got that 50 gigabyte as a backup. So on the Nano, it does work slightly differently. So as I said, you've got two options of the 64 or the 128 gig. So the way it works on the Nano is that you need to put an SD card into the Vision module, and then all the footage that's captured on the camera is going to have to be transferred onto the SD card itself. You can't actually record directly onto the SD card as you can with the Action 6. So this means your workflow is going to be a bit more complicated if you are doing longer shots, because once the memory is full on the Nano, you're going to have to transfer it and then start all over again. So for longer, more complex shots, it's going to be a bit more fiddly. So really, if you are shooting for longer, it's more versatile and easier to shoot on the Action 6 than having to move the footage from the Nano onto an SD card and then start again. Now, when it comes to comparing the screen size and the actual size of the cameras, they are both very compact, but they are built for slightly different priorities. So the Action 6 does feature a large front and rear display. You've got a bright 2-inch rear touchscreen, plus a sizable front screen for framing selfies and action shots. Its overall body is a lot larger, so it's going to accommodate a larger battery, and it's also going to mean that the touchscreen capabilities are a lot easier to use as well. Now, the Nano, by contrast, is a lot smaller and lighter, and it's more designed for carrying about for everyday use. Its rear screen is still clear and usable for framing and playback, but it is physically smaller than that of the Action 6. But because it is so small, it is ideal for just slipping into your pocket, and then you can use it wherever you want, quickly, easily, and it is really quite unobtrusive. So the Action 6's bigger screen is going to be easier to compose and review shots on the fly, especially action shots, whereas the Nano's smaller size is going to be perfect for lightweight portability and priority. So both cameras strike a balance between visibility and compactness, with the Action 6 leaning towards visibility and control, and the Nano leading towards lightweight simplicity. Now, the main difference between the two cameras is going to be the sensor size. And that's basically what you're paying all the extra money for, going from the Nano up to the DJI Action 6. So on the Action 6, you've got the 1/1.1 inch CMOS sensor. So that means you're going to get a improvement in dynamic range, your low light performance and the detail. Now, because it's a square sensor, it gives you the option of the shoot once and reframe later. So if you are a solo creator, you no longer have to go and do one set of footage in vertical and then one in horizontal. You can do all the footage in one shot and then reframe that in post. It also means you're not going to lose any resolution because you're not zooming into the image, you're just cropping in the sides to move it from horizontal to vertical. So for a solo creator, it is going to save you a lot of time because it means that you can just shoot the once, reframe it in post for your social media, be it YouTube or Instagram, and you haven't got to go and do lots of different shots to get the same result. And obviously you can shoot in square, 4:3, 16:9 or 9:16. But if you are using this mode, it does mean that you are going to be limited to your frame rates. But if you want to use the higher frame rates, there's still nothing stopping you from shooting in 4:3, 16:9, 9:16. Now the Nano, on the other hand, uses the 1/1.3 CMOS sensor. So although it is slightly smaller, it's still going to be very capable of producing high quality 4K video and 35mm stills in a compact camera. So even though you haven't got the flexibility of that square sensor, it still provides you with really excellent shots for everyday shooting. Now you can only record in 4:3 or 16:9, but if you want to do the 9:16 aspect, all you need to do is rotate the camera by 90 degrees. And this is the point where I stop for 2 minutes and say I'm not sponsored, so if you could do the like and subscribe and the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. And there's also a link below for buy me a coffee, and any funds I get from that are going to go towards buying new equipment to help the channel grow. It is really important for the like and subscribe because obviously that helps the algorithm know that I'm here. So that's great, thanks. Now, when we look at the photography capabilities of both of the Action cameras, they both target slightly different users. One of them is going to lean more towards the versatile high quality capture, while the other one focuses on simple everyday shooting. The Action 6 uses the 1/1.1 inch sensor on capture images up to 38 megapixels, and they will still retain rich detail and better low light performance thanks to this variable aperture. Now, thanks to its square sensor, it does allow you to reformat the photos that you're taking into multiple aspect ratios, 9:16, 16:9, whereas the Nano has the 1/1.3 image sensor. So that will allow you to capture stills up to 35 megapixels, but it still covers the essentials like single burst, time shots. And in terms of the aspect ratio, it still offers you 16:9 or 9:16 by rotating the camera, and you also get that 4:3 option. So the stills are still optimized for everyday framing, but it doesn't offer the same square crop platform flexibility that's going to be built into the Action 6 sensor. So if you look at the Action 6, that's going to give you more creative control and aspect ratio versatility, which is going to be ideal if you want one file that you can crop for landscape, portrait and social media, while the Nano is going to deliver solid, straightforward photography that's easy to use for every day. Plus, both cameras do offer the option of shooting in both JPEG and RAW. So when it comes to time-lapse, both the Nano and the Action 6 will allow you to create time-lapses on the camera itself. But they are both designed to work in a slightly different way with different workflows and flexibility. On the Action 6, the time-lapse allows you to record in 4K, 2.7 and 1080p with a wide range of intervals ranging from 5 seconds to 60 minutes and a duration of between 5 minutes and 5 hours or even indefinitely. And this is going to give you fine control of how fast or slow you want your playback to be, and that means it's going to be ideal for things like long sunsets or doing cityscape time lapses. And the Nano also offers you time-lapse recording in 4K, 2.7 and 1080p with similar interval choices of between half a second and 60 minutes. And again, it's similar duration times up to infinite. So this means it's still perfectly capable of doing scenes such as fast-moving crowds or cloud cover. So in practice, both cameras will give you nice, solid, built-in time-lapse control with similar interval levels and duration ranges. The Action 6's additional modes will give you more control over what you actually get out of the camera, but saying that, the Nano does keep it nice and simple and accessible, and it's a very compact package, so it is ideal for doing creative shots on the go. And then moving on from time lapses, we've got hyperlapses, which are just time lapses, but with an additional component of you moving through the scene. Now, on both cameras, you can do it in 4K, 2.7 and 1080p. And they also allow you speed multipliers like auto, times 2, times 5, 10, 15 and 30. And these control how fast the motion plays back compared to real time. Now, in practice, the Action 6 interface is going to give you better results because it's going to benefit from more advanced processing, more intuitive controls, and make it easier to frame and start shooting quickly, especially in complex environments. Plus, due to the stronger stabilization, it does mean you're going to get a much smoother result at the end. Now, the Nano's hyperlapse does use the same core principles and speed options and works very well for creating clips on the go. Its simpler workflow and compact size does mean it's going to be great for casual users who want to try and grab that hyperlapse quickly and simply on the go. So in short, both cameras offer you the same resolution and speed settings, but you will get more polished result on the Action 6, where the Nano keeps everything nice, simple and compact. So now you've got slow motion. Now, both cameras will allow you to capture slow motion footage, but it's going to be significantly better on the Action 6 because the Action 6 will shoot at 4K at 120 frames a second and can capture 1080p at 240 frames a second. So that means you're going to get a reduction of 8 times while still retaining detail and the clarity. Now, the Action 6 also does another special feature which allows you to create slow motions of up to 960 frames a second. So for this, you need to record in native 1080p at 240, and there's a little icon within the camera of a snail. You press that, and that will take a small excerpt of that video, and then it'll do its magic, and then it'll create a file which is slowed down to 960 frames a second. So that's 24 times slower. So on the Nano, you can still record 120 frames a second in 4K or 2.7. But if you want to go that extra step further, you can do the 240 frames a second at 1080p. So in reality, both cameras are going to give you excellent slow motion capabilities, but you are going to get that slight edge again with the Action 6. Now, when it comes to shooting at nighttime or in low-level scenarios, both the Action 6 and the Nano include a new Supernight Mode that helps improve the image quality with special algorithms to reduce the noise that you're going to get within the image. On the Action 6, it's going to take advantage of that larger 1/1.1 sensor, the variable aperture, and the advanced noise reduction in the tech to deliver a cleaner, more detailed footage. Plus, it supports 4K up to 60 frames a second, and it's going to retain more dynamic range and clarity. Now, on the Nano, you've also got the Super Night Mode, but because of the smaller sensor, it's only going to support frame rates up to 30 frames a second and also in 8-bit color mode. So the effect is going to be more modest than on the Action 6, but you're still going to get a clearer image than most other action cams due to this special night mode. One of the most important things you've got on an action cam is going to be the electronic image stabilization, or EIS. And both of these cameras use it to smooth out any lumps and bumps you've got when you are out recording your footage. But the Action 6 does go slightly further because it gives you more options when it comes to stability. So on the Action 6, you're going to get the RockSteady 3.0, and that's DJI's core stability, and that's going to reduce the typical shake and vibration you're going to get when you're using an action cam, especially with point of view shots. But in addition to that, you've also got RockSteady 3.0 Plus, and that's going to apply even stronger stabilization by cropping the image in further, and that's going to be perfect for smoothing out any rough trails or high impact sports that you're actually doing. It's also going to give you horizon balancing. Now, with horizon balancing, it means the horizon is going to be kept level within the image up to 45 degrees. So even if the camera is tilted at an angle, you're still going to get the horizon level throughout the footage. And then finally, it's going to give you HorizonSteady. Now with HorizonSteady, it means the camera can rotate a full 360 degrees around, and the horizon is still going to be kept perfectly level. So it doesn't matter if you're doing somersaults, you're still going to get the horizon perfectly level throughout your footage. Now with the Nano, you've got the RockSteady 3.0. So again, that is going to keep your footage nice and smooth for rough trails and high impact sports. And you've also still got the horizon balancing. So you're still going to get that level of horizon keeping smooth throughout the frame. But it doesn't include the RockSteady 3.0 Plus or the horizon balancing. So you will get excellent stability on both cameras because obviously they both give you the RockSteady 3.0 and they give you the horizon balancing, but you do have those two extra options of the 3.0 Plus and the HorizonSteady for the Action 6. I just want to add a quick note at this point to say that I've got an Insta360 Go 3S, and in low light conditions like this mountain bike part, this really struggles. But I know in bright sunlight, this camera like the Nano, is absolutely fantastic. It's just that living in Wales, we don't get a lot of great weather, so that's why this image is a bit ropey. But if you are mountain biking or using it in bright sunlight, you're not going to have any issues with the stabilization. Now, one of the most important aspects of an action cam after the sensor side is going to be the audio quality. Now, on the Action 6 and the Nano, they both record 16-bit sound, so you're going to get a clean studio audio that's solid for any point of view footage or casual use. So on the Action 6, you've got a 3-microphone array that's going to capture sound, and it does a better job of ambient audio and noise reduction compared to a simpler dual mic setup. It also supports the DJI audio ecosystem, so you can collect DJI wireless mics directly through to the camera, and that's going to improve your audio quality as well. Now, the Nano does record on a 2-microphone array, but that is still very competent, and you can still use the ecosystem and connect up to 2 wireless mics directly through to the camera as well. Plus, on both cameras, you've got the option of wind reduction, so that's going to cancel out any ambient wind noise you got when you're out recording. So in practical terms, you're going to get a richer sound coming from the Action 6, especially for talking and more nuanced situations. Okay, so this is just going to be a sound test on both cameras. They both shoot in at the moment in 24 frames a second. So I'll be quiet for 2 minutes, see if you can hear the birds chirping in the woods. So this now is the DJI Action 6 with me talking onto that camera, and then this now is going to be me talking onto the DJI Nano. So again, this is going to be the Action 6, and this is going to be the Nano, and again this is the Action 6 with me talking onto it, and this is going to be the Nano with me talking onto it. Now, if you're using the Nano, you're still going to get good audio quality, but it may not be quite as rich and full sounding as you're going to get on the Action 6. So really, the Action 6 is going to give you a better overall sound quality, but the Nano is still going to be perfect for everyday use. Now, when it comes to color profiles, both cameras offer you the normal color profile, but on both cameras as well, you've also got the D-Log-M color profile. And if you're using a D-Log-M color profile, that's going to mean that you're going to be able to go into post-production and color grade your footage, and it's going to give you more color depth and smoother gradients than standard 8-bit footage. So a 10-bit D-Log-M color profile is a flat or neutral color profile, and that's going to preserve a wide dynamic range and a tonal detail in both the highlights and the shadows. So that's going to make it a lot easier for you to color grade the footage should you want to in post-production. And as I said, both the Action 6 and the Nano support D-Log-M color profiles. So this means you're going to have plenty of room for color adjustment in post-production. It also means if you need to do any color matching with footage from other cameras, it's a lot easier if you are using the D-Log-M color profile. So in short, both cameras offer you pro-level color flexibility to take your footage up to that next level in both 10-bit and D-Log-M. Now, one of the new features you do have on the Action 6 is subject tracking. And with subject tracking, it allows the camera to automatically reframe the footage to track the subject in the center of the screen. But obviously it means it's going to have to crop in the image to keep you in the center of the frame. So if you are a creator and you don't have a camera with any tracking capabilities, this is going to be an ideal situation to allow you to remain center within your footage. So then that goes on to field of view. So field of view is actually how wide the shot is going to be when you're out and about filming. Now, when it comes to field of view, both the Nano and the Action 6 do provide wide immersive experiences, but there are some key differences. So the Action 6 is going to offer you a native 155 degrees ultra-wide field of view, and that can be adjusted by different lens settings. You can also use the DWAP option. Now with the DWAP option, it's going to correct that fisheye distortion for a straighter, more natural image, and that's going to be perfect for logs or more cinematic shots. But if you want to go for an even more immersive experience, then you can use the ultra-wide setting, and that's going to take you up to a field of view of 182 degrees, but you are going to get some curvature down towards the ends. But it is ideal for really fast-moving extreme sports or wide landscape sweeping. Now, the Nano, on the other hand, has a field of view of 143 degrees, but it still offers you the same field of view, such as DWAP, linear, and wide. And whilst it is slightly narrower than the Action 6, it still captures plenty of scenery around you and is ideal for everyday use. So whilst on the Action 6, you're going to get more flexibility and a wider field of view for a more immersive experience, On the Nano, you're still going to get a good field of view, and that's going to be perfect for everyday shooting. So which camera ultimately is going to be right for you, and what are the pros and cons of each one? So really it's going to be subjective, and what your ultimate use for the camera is going to be. Now, although the Action 6 has come out on top for a lot of the features throughout the video, that's not to say that the DJI Nano isn't a really good and a capable camera. So the Action 6 is going to give you a high-end, feature-rich experience, and that's going to be aimed at creators who want a maximum versatility and quality from a compact camera. And obviously it does build on DJI's other action cams, especially with the 1/1.1 inch sensor and the variable aperture, so it's going to give you a higher quality footage. So although the Nano is a lot smaller, you've still got a lot of the features on the Nano that you've got on the Action 6. So you've still got your time lapses, hyperlapses, your 4K video, you've got your slow motion, you've got the photography aspect of it, you've got a good field of view, you've got your D-Log-M, as well as having the RockSteady stabilization and horizon leveling. So a lot of the features are carried across from one camera to the other. So for those, you're not really missing out on any features. So if I break it down to strengths and weaknesses, well, obviously on the Action 6, you're going to have the bigger sensor, so that's going to allow you for better low light capability. You've also got better stabilization options, or should I say more stabilization options, with the RockSteady 3.0 Plus. And you've also got the options of having the better microphones. But saying that, it is a lot bulkier and it's a lot more expensive. So if you want to go for something which is really high end and you want to get the most out of the camera, then obviously going for the Action 6 is going to be your best option. So on the Nano, you've still got a lot of great features. You've still got the stabilization, you've still got the horizon leveling, you've still got the option to shoot in 4K up to 60 frames per second. You've still got the option of having the D-Log-M color profile. You've also got a good field of view, plus it's really light and unobtrusive, and it's also a hell of a lot cheaper than the Action 6. So for casual everyday filming and vlogging, the Action 6 is still a great camera and more than capable in most scenarios. And when it boils down to it, they both really are great action cameras. So it's going to depend on your budget and whether or not you are going to use those extra features. If you are, great. If you're not, then personally I don't see the need to spend the extra money, because you're still going to get a great camera out of the DJI Nano. And if you do decide to buy either camera, obviously there is an affiliate link below. I'm not sponsored by DJI, so I'm not getting any benefit from saying one camera is going to be better than the other. They're both really great cameras. It just depends on what you need the camera for and your personal situation. Okay, so that sums it up. Well, as I said, I'm not sponsored by DJI, so if you could do the like, subscribe and the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated. And there's also a link below for buy me a coffee, and anything I get from that is going to go towards buying new equipment to help the channel grow. And I'd also like to thank my mate Chris. So thanks, Chris. He lent me his DJI Nano for the benefit of making this film. So once again, thanks for him, because without him, this film wouldn't have been possible. If you've got any questions in relation to action cams, such as the Action 6, the Nano, or the Insta360 Go or Go 3S, or any drones such as the DJI Mini 4, the Mini 5, the Neo 1, the Neo 2, or the Hover X1 Pro or Pro Max, let me know in the comments below. And if there's anything specific you'd like to see, or you've got any questions, drop me a line and I'll do my best to answer them. And I'll catch you again next time. Mess that up, and I'll catch you again next time. Thanks very much. Bye.